Hi everyone and welcome to DCO Graphics Studio. In today's video, we'll be going over this script that allows you to create a lid, a body that is rotating and kind of twisted, and it'll open and close in this fashion. We have this little top and this little bottom portion, and it's kind of doing something weird on the video there, but if you stick around, I'll be going over all of the steps, and it'll be all of these. It allows you to create a container with multiple sides, change that around, even do a little fillet here at the end, and it'll produce this type of result that opens and closes. So let me show you. So I'm going to go ahead and do all of the steps, and let's start with the polygon, because that's going to be the jumping off point for creating the twist container. And so let's go ahead and create a radius, but sometimes I don't like doing radius because it confuses me. I like to do outer diameter for overall dimensions. So I'll go ahead and do a division of 2, and that way I can do like a 50 millimeter diameter. So when I divide it by 2, it gives me a radius of 25, and then I can use that for the overall dimension. And then we can come here and do the default of segments. It's going to be 6. So let's plug in the 6 and just leave it as the default. And we'll also have the ability to do like a fillet. So let's go to, let's say 15, and we can change the max, let's say to a 20. So we can come here and do a fillet, but for now let's leave it at 0. And so that's basically the jumping off point that we have for creating the twist. We first have to start with the polygon. So let's go ahead first and move it up to the desired amount. So if we want it to be just as tall as the diameter, we can say the same thing. We can do a 50 and then move it in the Z direction. So 50, moving it up, put that into the motion, and then put the polygon right here into the component, and there we moved up this polygon. Now what we want to do is start to take this polygon and actually rotate it. So let's go ahead and rotate the top one, and the angle, it's going to be from 0 ... to 180. So we have the ability to rotate it 180 degrees and then plug that into the angle. But it's not going to work unless you go to degrees. So make sure you do that, and then you'll see that the top is now rotating. But we still have that other curve, so we can select it, spacebar, and then unpreview it. That way we were just looking at that top polygon, and as you can see, we're rotating it around. What we also want to do though is take this bottom polygon and create one right in the middle and rotate it half of this rotation. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's move this polygon up in the Z direction, but we're going to divide by 2. So do a division by 2, and let's take, so when you do a division by 2, it'll actually plug in a 2 here on the division, and it'll give you the ability to plug in the A. So plug in the A. Now we have moving up 25. So we moved up halfway there. Now what we want to do is take this one and rotate it halfway of this. So if we go here to 90, we want to also rotate this one. So let's double click there, type in rotate. We plug in that geometry, and the angle is going to be half. So let's do a division by 2. So we're going to do 90 divided by 2. It's going to give us 45, and then right here for the angle, we'll go to degrees and plug that in. Also go ahead and hide. So select those, spacebar, and unpreview, and there we have the ability now to rotate the top, and the middle rotates halfway. And similarly, we can increase, and the middle one stays exactly in the center. And so we have here some sliders that depend on other sliders for them to add up, but that's what makes it good, is that everything is kind of talking to each other in this way. And so there we have those 3 curves. We have that bottom one, we have the middle one, and then the top one. So let's combine those curves by bringing in the curve component, which is this one, and then let's start plugging in the first one. Then let's plug in the middle one, and then let's plug in the last one. So all those curves we created, we can now have them all right here on one small component, and we can go all the way back here and do a space bar and then hide the preview, and then you can see here that we still have everything working together. The reason why I like this, it's because now we can go here in loft. Here where you have curves, let's go ahead and flatten it, and then take those curves, plug them right in there, and you'll see that we have that perfect loft, and everything is pretty tight here. Now, as you can see, when we start the rotation happens to the form, and when we increase the height, that also adjusts it. So let's go back to the defaults, and ultimately we can come back here and adjust the number of divisions. The smallest one should be 3 because that's the smallest polygon we could create, and then it could increase. Same with the fillet size. Now for it to look clean, you're gonna have to go here to the preview mesh quality and go to high quality, and there you'll have the ability to see it in a cleaner way. There we go. So let's leave it here at 6 where our default is, and let's move on and create the rest of the form. Okay, so now that we have this form, let's leave this actually rotated at 90 degrees because that'll give us kind of a nice form. And actually now what we could do is we take this loft and we cap it. We can actually just take this and print it on base mode and get one form, and if we just offset these curves and do the same and do the tolerance amount, we can just create the lid. So it could be this easy to create that twist open and close if we just take this and hide it and we offset these curves out and we say a tolerance amount, so we'll do 0.5 millimeters. So we can plug that in there and then do the same thing. So slide and hold Alt to make a copy, plug that in there, and we have two forms, one right outside of the other one. And these two, we can easily just go here to bake and then take these two forms and just do a base mode on one and a base mode on the other one, and you should have them closing perfectly. So that's one way to do it, but for me, I would actually want to be able to adjust and have the inner part be thicker and the outside be a little bit thinner. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do for the rest of the tutorial, is kind of creating the script so you can you know, have the inside thicker and the outside a little bit thinner. So I showed you that way to do it, but let's go ahead and delete those, delete this one, and then bring back this preview. So let's go back here and see if the fillet is at 0, everything is good, and then here let's try to offset the surface. And as you can see, if we just try to offset the surface, it's not going to work. So what I've found that works, that makes it look, allows you to have a watertight solid, it's actually, like I did before, is taking these curves and offsetting them. But since this is going to be our body, we're going to offset it to the inside. So let's go to a negative amount, plug in the curve here at the top, and then here on the negative, I'll put 2. So 2.000, and that'll give me 2 millimeters offset to the inside. And then we can do the exact same thing, which is loft. So drag that over and hold Alt to copy. And then we have the inside form. So this is the outside form, and this is the, let me move those over. This is the outside form. And then this right here is the inside form. And we can actually select all of those, do a space bar and hide preview. And then if we go here, double click and go to cap holes, then we can basically make those into solids. And now that we have those two solids there, we can easily do a solid difference, where we have the outside, which is the one we want to keep, and then we subtract the inside. And there we have now a watertight solid that has the same form as the outside. And it was we have the ability to come in here and change the thickness depending on the offset of those curves. So I didn't offset the surface, I offset the curves and then used those to create solids. Then I was able to subtract it. So here we have the bottom polygon, and this is the one that we want to use for creating the base. So let's go ahead and extrude this base polygon that we have, which is the outside one, and we're going to go in the Z direction. And actually, before we do that, let's go to a boundary surface, and then let's plug in the polygon into the boundary surface, then plug that into the extrusion so we have a solid. But instead of going up, we actually want to go down. So let's go to a negative value here, and let's plug in a 2.000 millimeter bottom. And so there we have basically the body of the form, and then we have the base, and we can have a different size base, and we can have different size exterior wall. So let's go here to 2, and then right here we'll go to 2 also to keep it kind of consistent. And you'll see that if we even come over here and adjust the number of sides it has, everything will still be working perfectly. And so let's leave this at 0, and let's leave that there. So we basically created the container. Now the next part would be to create the lid. So let me show you, it's going to be basically the same steps, but just we're going to have to offset a tolerance amount here. And it'll make sense kind of once we get to that step. Okay, so check this out. I have this outside one and I have this bottom one, right? So we can group those together. And then right here under the objects, we can go to flatten, and then we can plug in both that, and we can plug this one in. And now we can go ahead and hide those and then leave this one as kind of our final result. Now let's go ahead and bring back those curves that we have here. And now we're going to have to offset, but we're going to offset out. So let's go ahead and create an offset. Take this one, offset it out. And as you can see, it just gives us a default of 1. But we want to actually go here and do a 0.5 millimeter. This would be kind of like a tolerance offset. And so this is what is going to allow you to make the lid a little bit tighter or a little bit, loose, depending on how you want it. So if you want like a really hard to open container, you want it to be lower tolerance. If you want it to be really easy to open, you want to increase the tolerance here. And so there we have the tolerance amount, and we can go ahead and loft it once again. So I'm going to copy that one over, and I'm going to plug in the loft and bring back the preview on that, and you'll see that we have that loft. And now we want to take this offset and offset it one more time. So let's go ahead and offset this curve, and we're going to go once again here to 2 millimeters, but it's going to be to the outside, so we don't need to go negative right here. So we have the curves that we offset, and then we have the other ones. Now let's go ahead and copy that over and loft it again, and there we have the inside of the cap, the outside of the cap. But since we still have this one, it's making it a little bit tricky to see. So let's go ahead and spacebar, hide the preview, and now we'll see that the cap doesn't need to be 2 millimeters. It'll be probably 0.8 millimeters, So it'll be 2 perimeters on a 3D print. And now we can do the same thing as we did before. We have the outside one and we have the inside one. So we can go ahead and cap that and then cap this one. And then if we do, if we remember, this is the outside and this is the inside, I'm going to go ahead and select all of those, do spacebar, disable preview, and then now I can do a difference. So solid difference with the outside and the inside. And there we have basically the bottom, the lid for the body. So let's bring back the body here. And then this will twist close perfectly right onto the other form. So I'm going to go ahead and hide it one more time and show you that what I want to do is actually take this outside curve and extrude it up. So to do that, I'm going to have to take one of the outside offsets and select the top curve. So deconstruct VRep, and then we can do the list item. So we can pick one of these. Let's go ahead and flatten it here. And if I go to list index of 3, so we're gonna have to pick the top lid here. And that's gonna be our second one. And then that's gonna be what we extrude. And how much? We'll do it the same as the outside offset. So we'll do a direction of Z, plug this into the 0.8 right into the Z, and then plug that into the Z there. And there we have, so you can select all of these, do a spacebar and hide the preview, and there we have basically the lid. So we have the top part, we have the lid part, and then we'll do the same thing by grouping them together by plugging in both of these, and then going here to flatten, and then doing a spacebar and hiding the preview. So basically that's the most of the steps to kind of create that body here and creating a lid right on top, and everything is done here parametrically, where we can come back here and always adjust how many sides we want. And we have all of these parameters that we can use for creating a custom container like this one. So thank you very much for watching and sticking through the video. If you have any questions or ideas for future videos, please make sure to let me know. And if this is the type of videos you do like, let me know also, because I'll do more of them like this. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.